Hey everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you who are joining from your respective time zones. Welcome to the second episode of the Service Desk Plus Masterclass 2023. In the previous episode, we discussed some of the incident management capabilities in Service Desk Plus. In today's episode, we will move to service request management and learn how you can design and deliver exceptional services using Service Desk Plus. Let me introduce myself. I'm Siddharth, a product expert with the Service Desk Plus team here at ManageEngine. So here are a few housekeeping rules, the usual drill. All the attendee lines are muted by default, and if you have any questions during the course of our session, you can use the questions tab to the left side of your screen. I have with me a panel today composed of myself, my colleague Saket, and Naveen Shankar, and they will be very happy to answer your questions. We'll also be having a dedicated Q&A at the end of today's webinar. Now, if you have to step away for some important or priority work, it's totally fine. A recording of the masterclass will be sent to all the attendees within a week. If you have any further feedback, clarifications, or questions for us, you can send them over to my email ID, which is siddharth.g@zohcart.com, or alternatively to hello@servicedeskplus.com. I'll give you a moment to note those down, after which we will start off with a poll question. All right. Now, I'm curious to know, does your organization use a single service management platform for all the departments? That is IT, HR, facilities, and finance, etc. So, do you use a single service management platform, or do you plan to set it up in the future, or you don't plan at all? So, this session is geared towards enterprise service management, and we'll be discussing how you can unify enterprise service delivery inside Service Desk Plus, and we'll also offer a framework for you to go about it. All right, I can see that the poll is being answered right now, and most of you have responded already, and I'm happy to know that a lot of you do use enterprise service management inside Service Desk Plus, and I'm also happy that a lot of you plan to set it up in the future. So in this session, we'll be focusing on how you can deliver an employee onboarding service and help different departments to coordinate and fulfill that service in the context of Zilker. Now, Zilker is this semiconductor manufacturer that helps technology companies with semiconductors, right? So they design and engage in contract manufacturing for these large-scale tech companies. As such, a critical part of the organization is the R&D division, and they're expanding that both onshore as well as offshore. Now, Zilker's upper management has come up with a very flexible hiring program. Employees will opt to work in one of these three work models, that is remote, resident, and hybrid. The remote work model is simply a work from home model. The resident model means that the new employee would be working from the office all the time. And there's the hybrid work model, which is expected to be the most popular choice. Now, even before the pandemic, employee onboarding services or requests were not a straightforward affair. These requests or these services involve multiple departments working together and delivering services, right? Now, with the pandemic, with this latest new age normal, as I would like to call it, there is an added layer of complexity. We have three different work models, and depending on the work model, you have different sets of tasks. So, as such, this request fulfillment or the service fulfillment process requires a lot of information from the requester. And it also needs seamless coordination between different departments. But it can all be possible only if all the different departments are using a single service management platform and looking at the same set of data. Unfortunately, that was a problem at Zilker. All of these departments were using their own disparate tools to communicate and deliver services. And due to which there was a lack of clarity between what services are on offer. Employees did not know what they're entitled to, and there was also incomplete information collection. because IT was using an ITSM solution, but HR was having its own legacy application, and the facilities team just relied on a spreadsheet. So, as such, information collection was not consistent, and this led to a lot of delays in service delivery. There were communication gaps between different departments, and as such, Zilker did not have a standardized onboarding process. Meaning to say, each time they receive a new onboarding request, they had to treat it as a new one, right? So this led to a lot of operational inefficiencies, right? Because every time they have to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch. So we'll be helping Zilker with this framework enabled by Service Desk Plus, and we'll start off with the topmost layer. We will bring all of the different departments and extend service management beyond IT, after which we'll move one layer deeper. We'll talk about building customized self-service portals for different departments. Thirdly, we'll take one step forward, have a dedicated service catalog for the HR department, and we'll discuss how you can make information collection dynamic. Finally, we will discuss how you can efficiently onboard employees using a combination of rule-based automations and visual workflows. So without any further ado, let's discuss our first step for today. Now, we will be creating purpose-built instances. We will ensure that we create a customized enterprise self-service portal, and we also see how seamless it is to switch between different service desk instances. So let me quickly share the product screen. I hope you should be able to see the enterprise service management portal in Service Desk Plus. This is an end user's login. The end user is called Sean. Sean is a manager at Zilker, and they want to hire a new employee to their organization, to their team, in fact. Now, this enterprise portal brings together all the different departments, kind of providing me with a one-stop shop. There is an Omni search bar where, let's say, I want to learn a policy about modifying files. So let's say I type modify files in a server, and immediately I have a solution article before me. The search query brings in results from across different service desks as well as across the modules within a service desk. It could be an announcement, it could be a project, it could be a knowledge article, or a request created by Sean. So to give you an example, let me say searching for an onboarding request. All the onboarding requests from across different departments are carried over and displayed over here. This Omni search bar makes it very easy for Sean to access all the information they need and the services they require to do their job. Now, apart from that, I have access to the IT, facilities, and the HR portal in Service Desk Plus. Now, how did I create these portals, and how were we able to bring them all in one place? Let me quickly swipe right. And this is the administrator's login in Service Desk Plus. We are in the administrator's view. As you could see, we have another instance present over here, which is the legal service desk. And Sean did not have access to the legal service desk because they were not given the privilege or the access permissions to the legal service desk. Now, how do you set these all up? How do you spin up new service desk instances? You can go to the ESM directory over here. As you could see on the left-hand side, under ESM directory, we have service desk instances. This is where you can manage all your different service desk instances, define what type they fall under, who will be the owner, what's the status, and provide an alias URL. So let me actually show you how easy it is to create one. So let's say this is the finance service desk. Right out of the box, Service Desk Plus provides three different types of ESM instances, which is IT, facilities, and HR. Now, if you select one of these types, the instance will be pre-populated with categories and templates relevant to that department. Or you can also opt for a plain vanilla Service Desk instance. Now, I can assign an owner to the Service Desk instance, provide an alias URL wherein and my end users or my employees will be able to access this simply by using a variation of zilker.servicedeskplus.com. Finally, I can choose and associate a license to this new instance. Now, with enterprise service management, it is not necessary that all of your service desk instances have to use the same edition type. For example, IT might need the full-blown enterprise edition packed with change management, release management, service catalog, and projects. But let's say that the finance department really deals just with ticketing. So what they can do is to opt for the standard edition, and they can even use it just for about, let's say, 10 or 15 technicians. So you have that licensing flexibility within enterprise service management, depending on what is required or what are the capabilities required by a specific department. Now, once I have created my service desk instances over here, I can go ahead and customize the enterprise service management portal. Now, we did not really have a lot of customizations over there. That's because we are here with whatever that is available out of the box. But let me quickly show you how you can modify the HTML code over here and make the enterprise service management portal more user-friendly, personalized, and you can modify the whole look and feel of your enterprise portal. So let me quickly take the HTML code snippet that I have over here. Let me copy paste that. As you could see, this is a completely new ESM portal layout with different elements. A new section called frequently used services is available. And there's also a quick refresher on how you can get in stride it at Zilker, where you can book an acclimatization session and so on. So all of this is possible simply using the HTML code editor. But let's say if you're not really a fan of HTML coding, you can reach out to us for some of these custom HTML codes that we have created over here at ManageEngine. Just drop an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com and we'll be very happy to help you out. Now, once you've customized the ESM portal to suit your organization's liking, I can go ahead and configure the default landing page. I can ensure that all of my users land on the ESM portal right when they log in into ServiceDesk Plus, or I can also allow them to change the default landing page. Let's say that there is a software developer who's majorly concerned about getting help from the IT service desk. I can have them define the default landing page as the IT service desk, or I can simply direct them over here. So all of that is available, and you can also provide your own aliases to different service desk instances, be it IT or facilities. Now, apart from all of that, the ESM directory is the one place where you would manage all of your different regions, sites, departments, all of your users who are imported from the Active Directory. Now, let me go back to our slide deck. And so we talked about the first layer, which looks very simple, right? Spinning up new service desk instances, customizing the ESM portal using an HTML editor and switching between instances. But how do I actually access these individual service desks? How do I actually customize the individual self-service portals? That is the next step of our framework. So let me quickly go to the end user's portal. This is Sean's portal. And let me log into the IT help desk. As you can see, the self-service portal of the IT department pops up. We have a search bar for different templates. I can access them over here. I can also report any issue, that is, create an incident ticket, request a new service, or browse the knowledge base for existing solutions. Now, these widgets over here provide me a snapshot of all the requests I've created, some of the popular solutions with respect to the IT department, critical announcements from the IT department, and approvals related to requests and purchase orders. So this is how the IT department self-service portal is structured. It's completely available out of the box, but let us navigate away to the facilities service desk. Now, the facility service desk and its self-service portal look entirely different. Again, this is also available out of the box. We did not do any customizations over here, but there is a considerable difference between the IT and the facilities self-service portals. Now, if we take a look at the HR self-service portal, that looks completely different, right? So we have a custom message, we have different widgets for recruitment, knowledge base, policies, and payroll, etc. And there's a different search bar. So how is this possible? How did we create different self-service portals and customize them? Once again, let me swipe right. We are in the HR service desk of the administrator, and as such, the administrator has access to all the different configurations. And under general settings, we have the advanced portal settings. Now, over here, I can define some of the granular permissions for my requesters and technicians, such as whether they can reopen their requests or close their resolved requests, or whether the technicians, are allowed to create reply templates, and whether they can access the approval permissions, and how they are reflected for these end users. All of these granular permissions are available over here. How am I going to handle reminder notifications if the approval action is still pending? Now, these are all from the self-service portal's perspective. Now, then we have the customization configuration. So let me click on Customize Self-Service Portal. As you could see over here, we have a bunch of templates available right out of the box. Or if you feel you need to create one from scratch, it's very easy to do so. You can click on Create New. There is a visual drag and drop canvas. Over here, we have different panels conveying some information. So I can simply drag and drop this element over here, define what's going to be the text on it, and what kind of value I'm going to display over here. Now, apart from that, I can add different buttons on the self-service portal, right? So we can give a label to this button and define what kind of action it performs, whether it opens a specific URL, whether it's a button to report an issue, request a service, or view different list of requests. Now, once you've done with all of that, you can go ahead and customize them. Again, this is completely low code. So all you have to do is drag and drop, structure them in the right way, and you have your brand new self-service portal. And apart from that, let's say, again, you are adept at using HTML, you can bring in your own code snippets over here or embed any external link. Let's say that you rely on third-party knowledge bases for your employees. You can embed those external links within the self-service portal over here. Apart from that, we have all the different widgets that we saw before, the incident catalog, service catalog. So all of those pre-built widgets are available over here for consumption in the self-service portal. So this is the portal that we opted for. As you can see over here, this is something available right out of the box. So now we have discussed how we can create an enterprise service management portal. At the first layer, we talked about how different departments can be onboarded onto a single service management platform. Then we started looking at different self-service portals of different departments. We saw how we can customize them and how we can view requests, browse the knowledge base articles, go through approvals and announcements. Now, the third step of our framework, the most important layer, I would say, is creating dedicated service catalogs for each of these departments and personalizing them. Now, if you recall, one of the major challenges at Zilker was not able to collect a single record of information. Every department had their own set of information. They were looking at different information records, which were all siloed from one another. So we're going to create a very coherent mechanism, which is a dynamic service request template. So we'll see how we can design them and also associate service level agreements, configure approvals, and add different tasks. Once again, let me take you inside the HR help desk. We have a quick action button to create a new request. You can also access all the different service categories and the service templates over here. Click on Request Catalog. You have a representation of all the different service categories. And under User Management, I will navigate to Employee Onboarding. So I'm Sean, and I'm hiring for my R&D team here at Zilker. So right away, I have three different SLAs, right? So I have the option to define which SLA I'm going to opt for. And so if it's a work from home employee, the resources do not require a lot of time to set up, so it can be delivered within 5 days. But if it is a resident employee where someone is going to work from the office, it involves setting up gate access cards and providing them with clean workspaces. So all of that might require some time. So let's say that this new employee will be a hybrid employee. I have the cost associated with the service over here, and I'm expecting a lot of different fields, but to my surprise, there are just three different fields asking three questions. Remember the kind of onboarding program that Zilker had over here? Let me quickly go back to that, in fact. So there is this huge workflow with different tasks, all of which require specific information, right? But instead of bombarding our users with a huge form filled with a lot of fields, I'm just having a concise form with three questions. So let's say this is a high priority replacement for someone who left the organization, and this will be a permanent employee working in a hybrid manner. As soon as I select hybrid, different fields pop up within the service request template. This way, we have the principle of progressive disclosure. Based on the preferences of the requester, I'm progressively adding more questions so that they don't feel overwhelmed and I'm able to extract the accurate information required for fulfilling this service. So let us select Mac. Let's say that the name of the new employee is William. We'll provide the employee ID. Let's say that William will be joining the organization on 6th of April, 2023. The workstation model is MacBook Pro, and William would require access to Slack and a virtual private network. I can also browse through the offerings available over here, which we call as resource questions in ServiceDesk Plus. And this provides an e-commerce like look to services offered internally, right? So your end users browse through e-commerce site. They have a very different consumer experience out of your office. So you can reflect that inside using these customizations. So let's say that William would require a wireless keyboard and a magic mouse. I can add them over here, select the external monitor, select the software required for William, and I have the office schedule. So a hybrid employee is expected to work out of the office for 3 days and then work from home for the couple of days. As such, if I select the option called all 5 days, that's really inaccurate information. So how am I going to handle this particular scenario? If I select all 5 days, there is an alert saying hybrid employees cannot opt to work on campus for all 5 days. So I have to select a different office timings for William. So this way, we can make the form very dynamic, ensure that we are getting the right information from our end users. We don't confuse them, but ensure we showcase what services they are entitled to avail. So once I've completed all of that, I can go ahead and add the request. The request is created, and scrolling down, I can see that it has already been allocated to a technician and assigned to a different group. So how did we create that user-friendly form? And more importantly, how did we make that form dynamic in nature? So let me quickly go back to the administrator's login, and under the admin panel, we have templates and forms. And over here, we have the service catalog. Now you can create different service categories over here, define the business criticality, what's the availability target, who will be managing this particular category of services, all that information over here. And once done, you can list all of the service templates and group them under a specific category. As you could see over here, We have grouped all the user management activities under one category, and we have the employee onboarding service here too. Now, straight off, you can tell that this is exactly not what we saw before. This looks very different, right? That's because this is the technician's perspective in Service Desk Plus, and as such, all the fields that are added to the template would be visible here. Now, what the technician can do is pick and choose what fields the end user would be able to access in the form, whether they would be able to set values to that field, or whether they can only view it after some time after creating the request. So you can mark them as mandatory, define whether the requester will be able to set the option to this field, or whether they can only view it. You can also go ahead and customize this, kind of adding more emphasis on what fields need to stand out in the service request template. Now, if the pre-built out-of-the-box fields do not satisfy your requirements, you have a lot more fields over here. But even if you're not satisfied, then you can go ahead and add your own different sections, drag and drop them in the service request template. You can even customize them as per your liking, add a bit more. All right, maybe that's a bit too loud. You can make it a bit prominent so that it stands out and your end users don't miss it at all. And then you can add different additional fields: single line, multi-line, numeric, decimals, pick list, date and time, depending on what you're offering. So I'm dragging and dropping this over here. And let's say this is the delivery address for the work from home kit. That's just an example question. And what I can do is, if this field holds personally identifiable information, I can mark that over here. And what ServiceDesk Plus does is that when this end user leaves the organization, all of that information they provided under this particular field will either be anonymized, or depending on your policies, they can be deleted. This can help you adhere to different privacy regulations and frameworks across the globe, as well as you can encrypt the field. So the information in this field will not be visible in the reports that you run. So that's how granular you can go inside service request templates. You can control the access permissions, same as the out-of-the-box default fields, and customization is exactly the same. Now, apart from all of these, we saw that these resource questions were also available, right? These questions gave that consumer-like experience. So how do we create a resource question? It is as simple. Clicking on this plus icon on the left-hand side. Let's say this is about work from home kit again. And we're going to add a new question, a radio button over here asking, do you want a work from home kit for the new employee? So that is the question I need to ask. And the options are yes or no. Sorry. So as such, there is no cost information associated over here, so I can disable that. If I want, I can make them, again, more look visually appealing and enable images, and click on save. So we have a radio button question over here. So this is how easy it is to add your questions. And you can, all those questions that you add can be consumed across different service request templates. So once you've created some of the common questions, you can keep reusing them across different templates. Let me actually also show you how one of these sections look like. Click on edit. So you can see over here, we have added images to this particular question, added a description using the text editor over here, providing more information on what's on offer. So all of these, smaller capabilities and functionalities can help you really streamline the way you offer services. Now, once I'm done with structuring the request template, I can go ahead and enable the service cost information and associate support groups to the template. These are the support groups to whom this template would be accessible. And then I can choose to expose this template to my employees. Now, remember, Zilker is a large organization. Let's say they have about 1,500 employees. Not all 1,500 will be eligible to avail this service, right? Not really all of them need to onboard an employee. So I can target this service at just the right group of users. So we have user groups in ServiceDesk Plus, right? We discussed this before. User groups help you to group all of your end users based on different parameters, be it the department, the designation, or the site in which they are working from. So all of those parameters can be used to filter out specific groups within your wider audience, and thus you can deliver these services targeted at the right group. So that is also available over here. Now, once I'm done with all of that, I can move into the requester's perspective just to ensure that this is how I want the form to look for my end user. Remember that apart from the resource questions, this was the only question visible to Sean. So that is confirmed over here. After verifying that, I'll move into the workflow section. So the workflow section is where we add our SLAs, approvals, and tasks in one window over here. I'll come to request lifecycle in a little bit in a different context. So we have approval configurations over here. As such, ServiceDesk Plus enables you to add up to 5 levels of approvals out of the box. And the approvers can be these organizational roles, right? So let's have Sean's reporting manager approve it, as well as the regional in charge. So what happens is we can send notifications automatically when the service request is created, and we can choose to define the quorum, whether all the approvers must approve it or only take and apply the first action, be it an approval or be it a rejection. And I can also ensure that I take care that the technician is assigned only after the service request is approved. So let me actually remove it over here just for the sake of demonstration today. And beneath approvals, we have SLAs. Right now, we have 3 different SLAs configured, but it's easy to add more SLAs by simply clicking on Add New SLA. We are taken into the SLA configuration window. Let's say that this is a high priority onboarding SLA. So this should be responded within a single day and should be fulfilled within 3 days. So I can define my time mandates over here. I can choose to ensure that they are fulfilled irrespective of operational hours. And what will happen if the response mandate is violated? Now, I can choose to escalate to the ticket owner or different people in my organization, right? And I can choose to be either proactive or reactive in my escalation. Proactive is escalating a few moments before the violation actually happens, and that is the industry best practice, right? So we can actually preempt the violation. So let's say that we need to escalate 3 hours before the actual violation. Now, when it comes to violations on the fulfillment timeline, I have up to 4 levels of escalations. The same configurations apply over here, and I can choose to perform certain actions associated with the escalation. So the fulfillment timeline has been violated. I can choose to assign it to a different group, choose to assign it to a different technician, elevate the priority on the ticket. I'm sorry. Yeah, elevate the priority on the ticket, or change the level of the ticket from tier 2 to say tier 4. So these remediation actions are also possible inside ServiceDesk Plus within the SLA window. Now, once I've done with all of that, I can define the OLA for different groups, right? So typically, even within IT, there would be different groups which will work to provide the hardware and software resources, right? So I can add all of these groups over here and ensure that they also have a mandatory timeline within which they should complete their own set of functions. So all of that can be configured in SLAs. Now, once you've created them, we can associate them within the template. And then we have the checklist. The onboarding checklist is not really anything, a function that's expansive. It's simply a set of reminders to ensure that my technicians have a ready reckoner in their hands. They tick off all the boxes that are required to fulfill this service, right? So we have a checklist configured over here. It's simply a reminder to get the NDA signed and check for previous work experience. So I can associate checklists over here, or I can add new checklists over here. Let's say that we need a new field. Let's say it is a radio button, and it talks about uh, background verification of the new employee. So of the new employee. So I can have yes and no. So what happens over here is I have a checklist with a radio button. So when operating on the service request, the technician can simply ensure that they answer these questions and have the checklist verified so that they don't miss out on some of their crucial functions. That's all about checklists. And finally, we have the tasks. Tasks are nothing but a breakdown of the whole service. We break them down into their individual steps. And as you can see, we have about 3 tasks over here. I can configure the order in which they would be executed. Now, apart from that, I can associate the tasks from over here. I can use the task template if they have already been configured, or I can use a new task template. Now, once I've created it, I can ensure that I can mark it for a particular group or a technician, or I can assign it straight away. Now, how do mark and assign differ? When you mark a task for a specific technician, that technician will be assigned, or that technician will see the task only after the task has been triggered. That can be either automated, or it should be a manual action, but it'll be only visible after that trigger. If I choose to assign it straight away, the application would not wait for a trigger. The group or the technician will see the task immediately after it is created. So that's about task dependencies. And as you can see over here, we have the different scenarios for triggering tasks. I can choose to automatically trigger them during the creation of a service request, after the service request is approved, or choose to manually trigger them one by one. So all of these are the different elements involved in service fulfillment, right? So all of them are configured under the workflow tab. And finally, we have the fields and form rules. So this is the capability that enabled us to make the form very dynamic, right? So we were able to just see 3 different fields, and that was because this rule was executed on form load. As you can see over here, when the service request is actually created and when the form is loaded, we hide all of the different resource sections. So these actions can be based on predefined conditions drawn from the various ticket fields and the resource sections, or I can choose to enable certain fields, disable fields, show or hide fields, set tasks from the template depending on the preferences of the requester, or even choose to execute a script. That's how expansive field and form rules are. And let me actually show you what happens when we change a particular field. Remember, we received an alert when we selected all 5 days for a hybrid employee. So this is a rule that resulted in that notification. And so we had this rule executed during the creation stage, and when the field called office timings was changed. So the condition has been set to perform this action when the office timings is selected as all 5 days. And over here, we executed a custom script that threw this alert for us. So this ensures that you can keep up all the different checks inside your field and form rules, inside your service templates. And again, when we opted for the hybrid work model, when we changed that value in the field, depending on the conditions, we were able to see a lot more questions, right? So this rule enabled that. Now, apart from that, when we submit the form, we can ensure that certain fields are mandated. For example, if the work model of the employee is empty and I go ahead and submit the form, a script is executed which says, please select the work model of the employee, and a submission is stopped right away. So all of these form rules, play in together, ensure that the the service request template is very dynamic, user-friendly, and it ensures that you're not ending up with inconsistent or incomplete information. You collect all of the information required by all of your departments in one single go. Now, let me go back to our slide deck and let's see how far we've arrived. So we have personalized the service catalog with dynamic forms, and we added SLAs. We saw how we could configure approvals as well as add the different tasks. Now, all that is left is to help Zilker create a repeatable process blueprint. I need to ensure that my services are being delivered in a timely fashion and the whole process is efficient. So here we will see how no-code automations such as technician auto-assign business rules, custom functions, and then visual workflows like the request lifecycle play together, and we'll see how we can leverage that synergy. So once again, let me go back to the end users portal. So this is the onboarding request for William, which was created by Sean. And let me quickly go back into the administrator's login. So here we are. I'm going to click on the request list view over here. And right up, we have the new request, which we just created. So let me click on that. As you could see, the name and the work model has been carried over into the subject. Once again, no points for guessing. That's completely due to the field informed rules. We also see that all of the information that we added under resource questions have been copied over into the description, providing me with that snapshot of what is required for the new employee, right? And apart from all the regular ticket information, the resource questions, I have a couple of buttons over here. So what are these? These are the transition buttons courtesy of the request lifecycle in ServiceDesk Plus. So what happens over here? So we just have the hybrid employee button, which says it would take us into the status is processing hybrid employee, or it would take us into, or the other button would take us into the on hold status. Please note that we don't have any other button. I'm just faced with an option to onboard a hybrid employee, and that's exactly is the work model that we have opted for. So let me click on that. And as you can see, the status has been updated automatically. So transition buttons, right, in ServiceDesk Plus's request lifecycle help you to guide the technicians over the ticket fulfillment journey. I don't have them making arbitrary actions on the ticket. Rather, let's say you have a service blueprint, you can take that blueprint inside ServiceDesk Plus, ensure process adherence for all of your technicians. Now, as you can see over here, the tasks have all been added. And let's say that as the HR technician, I'm completing all of these tasks. Let me close it off. Now, I need to ensure that IT and facilities, the two adjoining or the adjacent teams, also perform their tasks, right? So I'll click on Notify IT and Facilities. And immediately, the request has been updated. The status is asset/workplace provisioning. Now, coming back to the request details view, we see that this particular section is empty, right? The child ticket details are not populated. Let me quickly refresh and let's see what happens. Now over here, we have a ticket ID for the IT and the facilities service desk and the associated URLs, right? So what happens here is we executed a low-code custom function when we pressed the Notify IT and Facilities transition button, right? So once that button was pressed, the custom function got executed and these child tickets were triggered. So let me quickly take you inside the IT service desk for Zilker, and let's see how that ticket has reflected over here. Once again, navigating to request list view, we have William's onboarding request. You can see that the IDs are a match. So let me click on this. Now, all the information that I've entered over here has been carried over into the description. So what happens here is I have a single system of record. Everyone is looking at the same piece of information. This way, we are ensuring that our teams are all working in coordination and they are working in a consistent fashion. The same goes for the facilities help desk. Let me quickly switch into the facility service desk. Once again, we have the onboarding request for William, and it's exactly the same information. Now, in facilities, I also have the option of visualizing my whole campus, and this will help the facility technicians to provision the workspace for a hybrid employee. So they would know what is the occupancy rates, they can associate the service request to individual spaces in the campus, and they will be able to identify where this hybrid employee could go ahead and work from. So that's what we have enabled using the request lifecycle. So if you're curious how it works, I'll quickly get into that now. Now, in the admin panel under automation, we have the request lifecycle. And here is the lifecycle that we associated to our template. As you could see, we have a single visual blueprint of our entire process. These white boxes and white circle are the different ticket statuses. So these are the statuses through which the request would traverse through. And these light blue parallelograms are the transition buttons. So what happens now is we just saw the hybrid employee button. We did not see the remote or resident employee buttons because we had this rule configured, which says this button would be visible only if the work model of the employee is hybrid. I can even define what are the roles which will have access to this button. So if I select the ticket owner, no one except for the ticket owner will be able to access these transition buttons. So this way you can ensure that adequate process control, adequate adherence to your blueprints is a reality in your organization. Now, these conditions are before the transition happens to just make that button visible. You can also mandate a few fields during the transition. Say the processing cannot take place unless the technician field is filled in. I can also go ahead and configure certain condition-based action. Let's say that the approval is denied. In that case, I can abort the process execution and provide a message, or I can execute some custom actions like running a custom function, updating a specific field, or executing a page script. So all of these are available within ServiceDesk Plus's request lifecycle, ensuring that you can automate different tasks simply based on the click of a button. Now, after the transition happens, we are sending a notification to the regional manager, alerting them about their new hybrid employee. So that's how you can craft visual workflows, take up any complex service delivery process, any complex workflow that you might have. It's very simple to configure them inside SDP. Now, the same extends for the remote and resident employee buttons. As you could see over here, this button was not really visible once again because the criteria is set as work model is remote. Now remember, we pressed the notify IT/facilities transition, which created child tickets. This is the custom function that made it possible. So if you're interested to take this custom function and get it working inside your organization, please drop an email to hello@servicedeskplus.com or to the support email address. We'll be very happy to help you out. Now, finally, when the onboarding is completed, we have this button over here. So I can ensure that this transition is executed only after the resolution field is filled in and the associated tasks are completed. So this way, each and every scenario is accounted for within a single visual workflow. Now, apart from all of these, we have certain condition-based automations that are at work. For example, business rules. Now, it's possible that you might already be using business rules in your organization. So let me discuss this in the context of employee onboarding. So you can configure different rules and group them based on the context. So these two rules apply to high priority onboarding. And we have something called hiring freeze. So what happens here is this rule gets applied to a service request when it's created and it's executed anytime irrespective of operational hours and follows the previous rule if we had configured one. So let's say that a request does not fulfill the conditions that we have configured over here. The next rule would be executed in a cascading fashion. Now, Only if this is a high priority replacement would we be able to accept the onboarding request. Because let's say Zilker has a hiring freeze and they are only going to approve very high priority replacements. So if someone's not really going for a high priority request, we can actually abort the process execution and provide the reason. So that's possible also in the request lifecycle, as well as at the start of the service request using a business rule. So let me quickly show you how that business rule worked. So we'll go to employee onboarding, select that. This is not a high priority replacement. Select permanent, hybrid employee. I'm going to quickly add a few information. So let's say it's again, William, Blake, and let's say I'm going to click on add request. Immediately the operation is denied by the system, and we are provided with the reason that they are only accepting high priority onboarding requests. So this way, even if you have any business exigency, you can make use of automations in ServiceDesk Plus to take care of them. Now, apart from that, you have the technician auto assign, which helps you to route all of your incoming tickets to your technicians based on a round robin or a load balancing fashion, just to execute it when they are created or edited, and apply them to all the requests or just to those which are already assigned. So this configuration really helps you to automate the way your technicians get assigned to different incoming tickets. Now, apart from that, we have notification rules over here. Remember, we did configure a notification within the request lifecycle, but let's not reinvent the wheel every time, right? Some of these are about whenever the service request is updated. So you have the boilerplate right over here. You can have these notifications sent to requesters whenever certain actions are performed. You can even customize the service request notification using the rich text editor over here. Finally, you have the closure rules. Remember, I mandated that all the associated tasks should be completed, and the resolution field should not be empty when I'm closing the onboarding request. Let's say we have a very simple service request where we do not really need a lifecycle configure. So for such cases, you can have the closure rules define what are the fields that need to be filled in, or whether the associated tasks should be completed. Choose to prompt a message to the technician whether the user has acknowledged the resolution. So this way you can ensure that the request has been meaningfully fulfilled. So that brings us to the end of our session, and let me quickly take you through what we discussed today. So we started off at the topmost layer. If you recollect, or if you're able to relate, we brought all of the different departments together in a single service management platform. That was the first step that we took. In the next step, we created different self-service portals. We customized them using the editor within ServiceDesk Plus, and then we were entering one layer deeper, creating personalized service catalog with dynamic forms that really helped us with accurate information collection. And finally, we leveraged no-code, low-code automations as well as a visual workflow to efficiently onboard a new employee. So all of these capabilities play in together when you have to ensure a consistent standard of service delivery in your organization. If you have any further questions, you can ask them. Our panelists will be very happy to answer them. Or you can also alternatively go through the admin guide, release notes, and product videos for more tips on how you can play around with ServiceDesk Plus.